Good morning, everyone. Let me get the kitty up here just so you can see him. He's here. I got the window open, so he wants to look outside the window. At least he's not being feisty right now. First thing in the morning, he's just full of energy, sleeping all night. So you can go over there and look out the window. All right. Well, we're continuing on with our look at Revelation. Get this just a little closer. There we go. We basically finished at as far as we're going to see into the future. How does God prove who He is? Well, He can do certain miracles, but again, we've seen the Pharaoh and his wizards do miracles. Even after Moses proved to him that he could do them, then they did them. Now, he outdid them, but how do you really prove? Well, the best way, and God does this all the time, He provides us with prophets. And the prophets tell us what's going to happen. Only God can know the future because He laid the whole timeline out. So we're going to take a quick look. We're going to get into Revelation 6, but we're going to take a quick look back. God knows what's going to happen, so turn with me to Isaiah 41:21. He's arguing with the prophets of Baal. So he says, "Produce your cause, saith the Lord. Bring forth your strong reasons, saith the King of Jacob. Let them bring them forth, and show us what shall happen. And let them show the former things what they be, that we may consider them, and know the later end of them." In other words, tell us the future, or declare us things for to come. Show the things that are to come hereafter, that we may know that you are God's. Little g. Yeah, do good or do evil, that we may be dismayed and behold it together. Whatever works you do, it doesn't matter. If you don't know the future, you're not a God. I'm not hearing a lawnmower. Better not be. This is too late to do that. All right. So that's what God does, and that's out of Isaiah. Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Jeremiah are contemporaries. They all basically preached at the end. What is coming in here? I'm curious. That's an old Jeep, and it sounds old. Revelation 6:1. This is the stuff that we're not going to see. So I'm not going to go too much further into Revelation. I typically stop about here. I might go another chapter or two just to prove a point that I'm going to make here in a bit. But we don't have to worry about any of this. This is the warning for the people that are going to be left behind. "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals," the Lamb being Jesus, "and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the four beasts saying, Come and see." Four beasts with eyes all over them, watching out for everything. "And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow." Didn't say he has a sword. Back then they had very limited equipment for fighting. Bows were relatively new, but a bow without an arrow is a one-string guitar maybe. "And a crown was given unto him," so he wasn't a king naturally. This would have to be one of our billionaires. And remember, the Antichrist, who this is, was an earthly man first, was killed and then came back with the demon inside of him, and now that's who we're looking at. That's where we are in the timeline. And we're not going to be here because we're the restraining force. And a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So he's basically going to conquer with a bow. One person with a bow. Not one person with a sword. Not going into the Old Testament. One person with the jawbone of an ass. You can do a lot of damage striking something. But a bow? And no mention of arrows. So he has the ability, but is not able to do it at this time. Okay, so that's the Antichrist showing up on the scene. That's the timeline. These are the seals that are on the scroll that only Jesus could open. And there's more stuff coming. This is going to get worse and worse. Basically, what we're going to see here are things that are going to be so bad that people will cry out for their rocks to fall on them. We'll see that in a bit. And kill them. Hide them from God. We're just going to go ahead and read the rest of these, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, if you will. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard a second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat on it to take peace from the earth, and they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. There's your fighting person. The first person is conquering politically. That's the Antichrist. But this guy here is coming to fight. And when he'd opened the third seal, I heard a third beast say, Come and see, and beheld a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand, the scales, like you see above a courthouse. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts saying, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. Poor translation, but basically, a measure of wheat, enough to make a loaf of bread for a denarius, which was a day's wage. Same thing with the barley. Enough barley to make a loaf of bread for a day's wage. We're heading there quickly. Everything is 2 or 3 times what we paid just at the beginning of this current administration. I don't know the outcome yet. A lot depends on which way this is going to go. And see that thou hurt not the oil and the wine. The food is for the poor people. The rich can afford it. The rich don't want you to mess with the oil and wine. So it's going to be a rich man's world. We're going to have 2 classes, rich and poor. The middle class will be gone. And when he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto him over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with the sword, with hunger, with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Basically, you can't escape this one. The 4th of the earth. It's not going to be nice. And when he had opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar of the souls that were slain for the word of God. Martyrs for Christ. And for the testimony that they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? But don't hold on too long, because it's fixing to happen. And white robes were given to every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season. A season is a block of time. A day is a short block of time. A month is a longer. A season is longer. I don't know how long that's going to be. It could be a year or 2. We're not going to be here. We may be the ones getting the white robes. Until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. We're not going to be in this particular group because these are martyrs. We're going to be raptured. But, what are you doing, kitty? I had to jump down past the tripod. And I beheld when I opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became blood. Jesus mentions this specifically in Matthew 24. We'll look at that. And the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken with a mighty wind. They're not quite ready to fall yet, but you shake the tree, and heaven departed as a scroll when it was rolled up. I picture those curtains, those blinds you roll down, and then if you let go too quickly, it goes back up and goes. Departed as a scroll when it was rolled up together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, all the people that set all this up, and every bondsman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and the rocks, Fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. They know what they did. They messed with God. They disrespected him. For the great day of wrath has come. Who shall be able to stand? Now, what's the Antichrist going to do? We're going to be the closest to this, but we shouldn't be here. Because we can stop Satan and the Antichrist with just a simple prayer. The power of God is greater than anything that they can put together in their entire organization. Daniel 9:27. He will make a firm covenant with many for 1 week. 7 years. But in the middle of the week he will put a stop to the sacrifice and offering. That's important because in order for him to put a stop to the sacrifice and offering, there has to be sacrifice and offering. So they need their third temple, don't they? And the abomination of desolation will be on a wing of the temple until the decreed destruction is poured out on the desolator. So Satan will be there, but this is what triggers the end of the Antichrist in this reign. This is the midway point of the 70th week. And we're going to see that Jesus talked about it in Matthew 24:15. And we therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, which we just read, stand in the holy place. Whosoever readeth this, let him understand. As I said, there has to be a holy place. That's going to be one of the first things that the Antichrist is going to do. He's going to have him rebuild the temple so that he can claim it. Then let them which is in Judea flee to the mountains, and let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. This is going to be quick. You don't even have time to go inside. You got to run. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that are nursing in those days. But pray that your flight may not be in the winter, nor on the Sabbath day, because they have restrictions. Winter, of course, is hard to travel, and it's cold, and they do get snow in Israel. They ski up on that mountain north of Jerusalem. For then shall be the great tribulation. This right there is the only reference to that 70th week where tribulation is used. And that's the second half. We call that whole 7-year period the tribulation. But this is the only place, the only time that we're talking about it is the second half. such as will not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall there ever be again. So, we don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. There's a bus. We've all got a ticket. It's got our name on it. Jesus signed off on the bottom. We're waiting for it. Now, I don't know if buses can fly to the clouds, but however we're getting there, we're waiting for the rapture. It's the only thing left in Bible prophecy to happen before all this stuff goes into effect. And you want to know how long all this takes? I may cover that in the next video because we're at the time limit. I'm trying to keep these in 15-minute blocks because there's a lot of stuff here to cover. I know some of the teachers do a 30, 40-minute video on all this stuff. And it's hard to take it all in. But I'll show you that these seals, this is a vignette. This is a vision of a complete beginning to end occurrence of the seals being opened. In chapter 7, we're see how this can point to that. Because we've only had 6 seals. The 7th seal is in the first verse of chapter 8. They didn't mark the chapter right because they thought it was linear. Parts of the Bible are linear, standard Greek linear style, but the visions are self-contained. You could take it completely out of the Bible and put it in a separate book, and it would be just as valid because it's not this happens and this happens and this happens. The vision, within the vision, everything is sequential. But on either side, it doesn't have to be. I wish I could tell you that the rapture's this week, this month, this year. The chessboard is ready, the pieces are in place. We're just waiting. Now, we shouldn't be sitting around doing nothing. That's not our job. We have to tell people about Jesus, and we have to warn them that this stuff is coming. Now, they're not going to listen, a lot of them. Some will, and they will be grateful when they get to heaven and someone talked to them and told them about Jesus, but the majority of the world will not. So don't think that you're going to go up to everybody and talk to them and they're going to accept Christ. The way the world's getting, it used to be you could get somebody to accept Christ, 1 in 50 or 1 in 100. It's going to be 1 in 1,000,000 here coming up soon. They're lying to the world. The world is being lied to just like Satan lied to Adam and Eve. They have no clue who they're voting for. They'll find out when it's too late. Until we meet in the clouds. God bless.